Oh yeah, Jake, you said you had a story. Did you want to tell that like now, or did you actually want to burden the listener with it?
I mean, that I was gonna kind of just like lead in with it.
That's fair.
So like, I don't know. Have you guys heard about this like dude that's um like
Yep.
been on the run, like this escaped felon or whatever that's been like loose?
Like local?
Yeah.
I have not.
No.
Okay. All right. So
Whoa.
apparently this dude got loose from police custody at some point. I think it might have been like Monday or Tuesday morning because Bonnie was driving to work and got caught in a traffic jam because the police had like half the bridge blocked off, like coming out of Portsmouth. Um, because apparently he had jumped off the bridge.
Oh,
Oh
yeah,
wait, I did hear
I
about
did,
this.
I did
Yeah,
hear
yeah.
about that. Yeah.
Yeah. So she's like, oh yeah, so there was like 10 cops lined up along the side of the road, all just like looking over the bridge. I'm like he's still gonna fucking be there. But so she was almost late to work because of that. So then come yesterday, 2 days ago, being Thursday. Um, long story short, I've got a sick cat that needs some medicine, and I had left work a little early to come home to like give him his medicine like on his schedule that he's on. And I couldn't get to my house because police had cordoned off my street and were not letting anybody pass. So apparently they had received an anonymous tip that this fucker was hiding somewhere on my block. And like
Nice.
there's like the big fucking like SWAT police like command like van tank thing, and like there were a bunch of dudes in all black running around with rifles like
Oh my god.
running all around the houses. And like my question is, what were they hoping to gain by this? Like, so they got an anonymous tip that the dude was spotted on the street somewhere. Okay, so they make the assumption that he's hiding in one of the houses. Like, they can't go into any of the houses without a warrant, and they can't get a warrant without knowing which house he's in. So, like, were you just gonna like be peeking in the windows? Like,
I mean,
what are you
worked
fucking
out for
doing?
Breonna Taylor, am I right?
Yeah. So, like,
Big
so I
group.
had to wait like 3 hours to like get to my house. I was just sitting there, like, just went and did some grocery shopping. Went and got a fucking milkshake at Chick-fil-A. Just pulled up on the curb next to the like next to the corner, like a block away, and just sat there and just fucking watched them. Like, got nowhere else to go. Like, guys are at my house. The guy was like, "Which block do you live on?" I said, "That block." He's like, "Yeah, no, you're not getting to your block."
Like, we're gonna need to search your vehicle.
Is he in there? Well, no, we've got a security system in our house, so like, unless he scaled the sheer side of my house and came up in one of the upstairs windows, he was not in my house. Because
He's
like,
climbing in your
so now
windows.
he's
I know
snatching my people up. Yep.
into Jake's house without him knowing I'm there.
Fuck. Well,
Trying to reap 'em, so you need to
Or we're
hide
gonna need you to get out of the car and spread them. We got to cavity check you for this escaped convict.
Sir, I just needs to check inside your asshole.
Sir, please. I'm just gonna have to check inside your asshole.
I mean, if anything, they gotta check my balls, right? Because that's where a man could be hiding.
No, he would crush
Enormous.
himself to death in there.
Enormous fucking
Like-
testes.
What are those perpetual motion devices? It's just like the line of big balls
Oh,
clacking
the Newton's
together.
Cradle.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
that's just like my testicles.
Ouch.
I'm gonna be honest with you.
Sounds
I'm concerned
painful.
about this.
Oh, I mean,
Sounds painful.
just clackety
Yeah.
clack.
Don't talk back.
Dude,
Clack,
I
clack,
found
clack.
out a couple weeks ago. Apparently, the app Yik Yak is like making a comeback.
What app?
You had not heard of Yik Yak?
No,
I don't really know what it is, but I've heard of it.
Okay,
I hate things that kids do.
it was like around when I was at college. It was like, it's kind of like area specific or like college specific like public chat rooms.
You mean what Facebook originally was?
Yeah, I guess it's like localized Facebook, and apparently,
Let's
like,
face what the reason was.
it has come full circle where it started in college, died at the end of college, and like now it has made a comeback. 2 or 3 cycles of college students later. So fucking go figure.
Yep.
But you know what else has come full cycle is the Argel Talk podcast. We are back.
That was a really that. I'm not going to let him say that was smooth.
Every time I venture to try and make it worse. So.
But you know what else is getting worse? The Argel Talk podcast.
I seem to think it's like a fine wine. It just gets better with age.
Shit. Oh, that's funny. Okay, sorry.
But yeah, so welcome back. What you guys been up to this past couple weeks, other than getting my house swatted?
Well, other than calling in the SWAT team on Jake's house, been still working through my Night Lords. I've got 10 out of my 30 bikes done. I've got actually took a brief break on that to do my 40k World Eaters Chaos Terminator Lord. He came out really well. Played a game with him on Wednesday. Now I'm working on my Atramentar squad, which I've made up out of Conticar bodies with Terror Assault heads, Chain Glaives and Combi Bolters, and a couple of the Chaos 40k Terminator heads with the tusks. Because I figure if there's any one who's gonna look, as scary as they can and use that kind of head, it's gonna be the Atramentar. Especially if you've seen the read The Long Night is a short story by ADB. It's about Sevatar being locked up on the Invincible Reason, but for some reason it has like an Atramentar on the cover, and he's got one of those tusk heads.
Yeah, that was a recycled artwork, I think, from the cover of Soul Hunter, which was one of ADB's like 40k Night Lords novels. It's got an Atramentar with like the tusked helm on the cover.
That makes sense because it's not like that was a standalone release, so they didn't like make a whole ass cover for it.
Yeah. Yeah, there was another one that was like Throne of Lies. That was a short story to go like with that series. That was like a raptor on the cover of it. I think it might have even been Lucoriphus. I'm not sure, but yeah, good stuff.
I have been I'm just printing. I've been just finishing up things for people. So that's probably gonna be my update, like hobby update, like every time we do this, is because that's all I do is just I print for other people. Although I will say I've made some stuff for me, just because I've been doing it for other people, and then I realized, holy shit, I really want this. So your boy is gonna have a really nice Solar Ox army at some point.
Jesus.
like I made some Carnodons, and the same guy that made the Carnodons also made a Dracosan, and I was like, you know what? No one's asking for this, but I'll buy that. So I bought the file, and I was like, yeah, I've got like some Solar Ox infantry, like probably and some Ogrins. Like it'd be cool to fill this army out eventually, and I've wanted to for a while. So I printed it up, and I was like, holy shit, this boy's a chonk. He's a big transport, but I really like it. Like it's a really cool looking model.
Yeah.
And you can have a dedicated transport with a demolisher cannon.
Yeah. So I might be slightly stupid. I missed it. Did you say if Chris had ordered the Carnodons from you, or is that?
Chris wanted some Carnodons, so he is who prompted me to, search those files. Luckily the guy that does them, like I've been following for a while. He does lots of really good looking vehicles. So so I bought the guy's Carnodon proxy and his Dracosan proxy at the same time, because it's like, hey, you might if you're looking at the Carnodon, you may also like this. I'm like, well, you're not wrong.
Is that a Code Walrus?
Yeah, actually it is.
Yeah, he does good stuff.
He does do good stuff.
He started that Foundry channel that you're in, I think. That like Discord server.
Yeah, I've talked to him a few times.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm aware, but yeah, he's got good stuff. So I like patroning those artists when I can, and using their stuff. But man, yeah, his stuff is just really good looking.
Yeah. He's got some I think they're his anyway. He's got some like true scaled like alternative armor mark like bike and jet bike riders that I want you to print off for me at some point, because I've got a conversion in mind for the Primaris Outrider bikes for my Blood Angels.
Yeah, I do need I need to look at that. Once I get through a couple of the requests that I have, one of the guys that I did some stuff for a few weeks ago, he messaged me and was like, "So I'm looking for this vehicle, but I don't know if you can print it." I was like, "Well, you're gonna have to be more fucking specific, first of all." But he wants an Ares gunship for his Talons, and I just happen to have a file for that, but it's fuck huge.
Yeah.
I mean, it's massive. I think it's got like an 18-inch wingspan. Like, I think it's like Marauder in scale.
Damn.
Yeah, so that's gonna be super duper fun.
Fuck you, Jesus.
But yeah, that's all I've been doing, and of course, playing around with all these lists that we're gonna be talking about, which just gets me unnecessarily hyped to do just stupid shit that I should not do.
Gets you a little hot and bothered.
A little bit.
How about you, Gray? What you been up to?
So, been working on 40K 1,000 Suns for a commission. It's coming up pretty nice. It's Hermetic Blades, which is definitely one of the harder paint jobs I've ever done. On top of that, I sort of mocked up a test model for my project after next here for Heresy, which is going to be a Traitor Blood Angels force.
Yeah.
I'm gonna, and it's I mocked up. I'll put it up on the Discord here, but it's taking the Blood Angels themes, which they're low key space vampires, saying what if they leaned into that instead of leaning away from it, like instead of being all noble about it. Oh, let's not be vampires. They're like, nah, dude, let's go eat people.
So fuck around and find out.
Exactly. Yep. So they've got kind of so the test model I did uses one of the guys from the Crimson Court set for Warhammer Underworlds. I don't know which one he is.
Bill.
I'll tell him.
Yeah, I don't.
But I used him.
Yeah. Just Bill.
And basically slapped some parts on, and it looks like a proper vampire out Blood Angel. The armor was pretty nice. It has like skulls and fangs and shit on it. So it was really just add shoulder pads, add weapons, add jump pack.
Yeah.
Simple as.
Yeah. So I threw up into the Discord here all kinds of
gross.
Yeah, I literally vomited in the Discord. I mean, kind of seems that way. I've been working on all kinds of different stuff the past couple of weeks. Not only am I working on 3.5 like secret projects, as far as half of one is not like a super secret. I'm working on a gift for my brother for Christmas, which is that robot bust. Then there's 3 other projects that I'm working on that I can't say anything about because they're either to be released or Secret
Not
Santa projects.
To be released. That is the question.
Other than that, I have been working on my first of 2 Flamer support squads for the Blood Angels, using the Tortuga bodies and the flamethrowers from Puppets War, which I have christened the Gethsemane pattern flamer. It's pretty cool looking, and honestly, like, these guys could also do double duty as Melta squads as well, because it kind of looks halfway in between a flamethrower and a melted gun.
Yeah, I could believe it either way.
Yeah,
Double duty.
double duty. Was working on a lightning for the event tomorrow that I can not really. I decided not to go to for work-related reasons. Probably still could go, but like I wanted to be safe than sorry, and I didn't know what I was gonna be having to deal
Wanted
with.
to be safe and sorry.
Safe and sorry, yes. Wanted to split the baby and get the worst of both worlds. And then lastly, there's a bust from Big Child Creatives called Ironheart, and it's this armored chick with like a fuck huge sword, and she's got like this cape like wrapped around her shoulders that had this really heavy texture on it that I don't like because it just makes it kind of hard to paint. Like it kind of limits the choices I have as a painter with it. So over the past couple months, I've been little bit at a time working on scraping all that texture off, and I just finally finished doing that this week. So she is all built up and ready for primer and paint whenever I, start up my next bust project.
Oh, neat.
But I'm looking forward to that because she's a super cool bust. But yeah, so busy. Lots of projects in the air at once.
Yeah, sounds it. Well, that's cool.
Yeah, man.
So yeah, with that, I think we got everybody right. We'll go into some picks of the week. Let's see here. Eeny, meeny, miny, mo. Let's go, Eric. What was your pick of the week this week?
So I'm gonna vary a little bit from what I actually put on the Discord, but I've been working on these Contacar, and they're not new by any means at this point, but I had not appreciated just quite how great this kit actually is until I started painting. Not even until I was assembling them, until I was painting it. Just because of there's so many like little details in them that you don't notice unless you're like really up in it, like all sorts of obviously there's all the chains and skulls that you can see already, but there's also like little things like little hands that are just kind of nailed on, like human hands nailed on there every so often. And there's a bunch of, and this is on the Terror Squad body kit too, but a lot of what's like looks like just squares that are kind of nailed on there. And at first, I didn't really know what that was supposed to be. Um, but I've only just like within the past 2 hours realized those aren't like strips of like flesh that are cut into squares or anything. Those are tarot cards. Because that's something, if you've read any of the short stories, specifically like The Lightning Tower and The Dark King, those were very big for Conrad Kurz, as far as like he believed in them very strongly and would use them quite a bit. So it's really neat to see those like put into the Legion models. So just all those little details and things like that, even though I'm not using the entire kit, like the heads and the arms, just those all that little stuff. I think it's a really great kit that I never truly appreciated till I started painting them.
Yeah,
Nice.
that's a
That
cool
is
little
cool.
Easter egg. Yeah.
Yeah, that's
All
pretty
right.
dope.
Well, I'm going to take the cheap and easy way out because I never do a good job of finding a good like unique pick of the week. But I'm gonna go with the Warhammer Community release this week, showing off the new con model and the exemplary. I think it's called the exemplary battle with the new Iron Warrior Terminators.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Siege of Hydrocordatus.
That's it. But I'll get to the con in a second, but I really like what they're doing with the exemplary battle stuff. Like it just goes back to a trend that they had started, I guess, a year or so ago, where they're being a little bit more free with releasing like individual like units and upgrades and stuff like just in PDF form, instead of us having to wait an obtuse amount of time for a new book or a new edition at this point. Like I really like that they're doing that, and so far, with the the After Minotaur, the named Praetors, the Huskarls, the oh gosh, yeah, these new Terminators, like they're all reasonable options, but none of them are like game breaking or like revolutionary. Like I really like the fact that they're just really neat, reasonable options.
Yeah. Well, yeah, they're like a more just an injection of flavor rather than like here's the new busted thing that every fucking Iron Warriors list is gonna have now. It's like, no, well,
Exactly.
do you want Terminators to follow Perturabo around instead of the Iron Circle? Well, there you go. There's your Thunderhammer wielding, robot hating Terminators.
Yep,
You just
and
really hate Legio Cybernetica?
they just really hate robots, which I can understand that as someone who also kind of hates robots, but at least in having to fight against them. But yeah, no, they're a solid little unit, so and I always like seeing some other Thunderhammers out on the field because they're neat. Who doesn't like Thunderhammers?
Yeah.
But man, that con model looks so freaking good. Like their Primarch models have always been primo. Like they've always looked fantastic. Like they've always really felt like they honored the artwork and the all of the kind of pre-established artwork again. But I just think that they did a really good job on it. There's lots of people who are going to be complaining like, well, why doesn't he have his bike? Like, I get that, and maybe offhand chance they'll release him on a bike model at some point, but I doubt it. But I really like that model. I just really like the look of it.
Yeah.
I just want to jump in real quick back at the campaign stuff that they're releasing. I don't know if you guys have really like looked hard at the missions, but those are also like super cool. This one in particular is they've all been from out of Black Library books. This one is the one at the beginning of Angel Exterminatus. But just the flavor that goes into the rules of the missions, like the second mission they have has the semi-sentient defenses rule where the citadel itself is part of its own defense, and that's something that's represented in the novel too, and it's a really neat thing to add to the mission.
Yeah.
I really like I really like those missions, and I really like it gives me really good ideas on how I can like make unique things. Like I can take some of those mechanics and implement them in some other missions that I want to do for like events and stuff. Like I really like what they're doing, and it's just more options. It's showing that the heresy is not dead, that it's still very much an active thing in their mind, and like it just in it. And when you look out in the out in the wild, on the wild west that is Reddit and Facebook and all those places, like it's generating conversation, most of it fairly positive, and it's getting other people interested in it because it's showing that it's not just a dead system that diehards are keeping alive, like they did with like we did with Blood Bowl for a decade or more. So
Or Mordheim.
yeah, Mordheim. Well, that people are still doing with Mordheim. So all in all, it's just it's continuing a positive trend, and I like it.
Yeah. Well, and I think it is no coincidence that Warhawk released like right before his model did, and I was lucky enough to get to like read and finish reading Warhawk before the model came out, and like that, like not only is the way that he's modeled, but also kind of the way they chose to paint him with like the Death Guard all around him and stuff like that. I mean, it's like kind of a one for one copy and paste from the book, and I think that in this particular instance is a good thing.
Yeah, I will say one thing. I will say the only small negative I could say about the con model, and it's something they've done with the last like 2 Primarchs they put out, is I think the guys on his base are like molded to be Death Guard and Death Guard alone.
Yeah,
Like, I think they have
That
specifically
they've
built
done that with a couple of models.
recently. Yeah, they did it with
So I mean, that's
with the
not.
Lion as well.
I think it was like that with the Lion. I want to say it was like that with Lehman Russ. Um,
So
I'm
now, are those on there, like, because all the Primarchs come with a game base and a scenic base? Are those dead Marines on his scenic base only? Or are
Yeah,
they?
all of them are all of the Primarchs, at least the ones that I've built. All of those extra Marines are on the scenic bit, not on their game
And,
base. Because
and it's a
the way
minor.
that the way that it's built, like usually it slots into it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So sometimes like there's like a little peg or something, so there may be some overlap, but you're supposed to not glue that down.
Yeah, I've got to, like,
It's a minor
slide
nitpick.
Angron in awkwardly under a rock. It's kind of weird.
Yeah, like Mortarion, you've got to like slide him onto his, and then like you have like a couple of pieces that like wrap around him. Like it's a little odd, but like I understand why they do it so that it makes a more cohesive looking piece.
Yeah,
Sure, yeah.
I'd seen
And
some
like it's a
people.
minor nitpick, but like some of
Well,
the older Primarchs weren't. You could make those guys in the base whatever you wanted to with pretty much no effort. You painted them however you wanted. This is a
also
little bit
remember that
locked
some of
in.
those early Primarchs are what, more than 5 years old. Like the modeling has gotten their modeling capabilities actually gotten better from some of those early Primarchs.
That's
So,
fair.
and I think what they have been doing is they've tried to tie the models in more with their release material, like have it actually be part of a known battle or something. Like it's supposed to tie in
Exactly.
narratively.
Yeah,
So
like
I get what you're saying, and practically it's easy enough to take a scalpel or something and get rid of
Yeah.
some of those distinguishing marks on things, or just not use the bodies and use put your own little spin on it. But these are
Right.
basically like self-contained little dioramas.
yeah, like the
Yeah.
demons that Sanguinius is stabbing the shit out of on his base. I don't think those belong to a specific legion. So, touche.
They most certainly do. They most certainly do.
Yeah. And like I said, it's a minor nitpick. I love the model overall. It was just a trend I've noticed in recent character series releases
Yeah.
is that they very much do have a very much this base has these guys from this legion on it kind of thing.
Very
You know what I
much
mean?
right. You are
Yeah,
very much correct.
that's why I don't base any of my armies, so they'll always match the table.
God.
Just put them on clear discs.
See,
3
I
mil
really
by
like my
42.
Istvan themed armies. I just haven't built them yet, so I can just throw all the pieces on the table. Like this is after the massacre.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, mine are all it's Fan 5, the Black Sands.
I wonder if the Khan's base will be like Sanguinius, where like Sanguinius is kind of like braced up against that pillar, and then like it slots into like the larger circular base below it that like comes in 2 pieces. So like it's 2 semicircular pieces that kind of slot in around that core base that he's on. And I've seen people like magnetize it so like they can just easily remove one of those pieces and like pull him out of the base to like play with him. So I wonder if the Khan
Normally,
will
I
have
mean,
something like that, but it doesn't look like it from his base. It kind of looks like it's just gonna like slot in.
to Forge World's credit, they've been pretty clever about how they have some of the parts actually interconnect, and I've only got like 6 of the Primarch models, but they've all of their bases usually have multiple parts, and they all just friction fit on there and look pretty good. Like, yeah, they would probably look better if I was just using them as a showpiece, if I glued them all on there and didn't include the the actual game base in there as well. But they've done a good job of making those pieces kind of connect easily and still look really good.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely.
But yeah, good picks. What you got, Gray?
My pick of the week, and I threw it up on our Discord. It is from oh shit! Now of course can't get it
Gizmo
open.
Models.
Gizmo Models.
Gizmo Paints.
Yeah.
Excuse me.
Gizmo Paints over on Instagram. And it's a bit of an older post, but I liked it.
But the codes check out.
Yeah, exactly. He took the Tor Gyrodon model from 40K, the Primaris Tor Gyrodon, and he converted it to become a 30K Iron Warriors HQ.
Yeah, as it should
And
be.
it's super sick. He swapped out that grav cannon thing on the shoulder with a like a Chaos Melta. Did a head swap on him. And it's a real simple conversion, honestly. Most of the converting came down to cutting off Imperial Fist logos, basically. But it is super sick, and since it's a character model, you can kind of get away with it not being a standard sort of heresy armor pattern.
Mm-hmm.
I do like that Torgaridon model, like I've seen it used as a base for a lot of conversions, both in heresy and otherwise. But like that, I really like what they've done with some of their current plastics. That it really lends itself well to that sort of conversion work.
Mm-hmm.
It does. Yeah.
Yeah, and
Definitely.
this guy's whole Iron Warriors army is just gorgeous, notwithstanding. He's a really good painter too. So
Yeah. He definitely can make Iron Warriors more interesting than what most people think of them as, which is I dry brush silver on. Here's some yellow stripes. He definitely is.
That is one of their that's a big selling point to that army, is that to get them to look reasonably well, it's one of the quicker paint schemes that you could get into. So, and it doesn't take a high level of skill or time to be able to accomplish, but to make them really stand out and make them look exceptional, like I'd say that they're probably one of the harder armies to deal with because of that.
Yeah,
Definitely. The hazard stripes alone, having painted probably 60 models with those stupid hazard stripes, those are not easy to get to look right.
no, and he's done a pretty. I don't mean to call it like basic. When I say basic, I don't mean like beginner, but it's just an easy trick to kind of, rather than, I mean, he may have masked them, I'm not sure, but to avoid having to like make sure they're like perfectly straight, as long as you get them relatively straight, he's kind of gone in and weathered them a little bit and kind of like roughed up the edges. So like even if they aren't perfectly straight, they still look like they are. So there's that as well.
And yeah, it's definitely good. You can tell that he did the yellow first and then came back over with the black, which is the big secret to doing those stripes.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yellow first, black later.
Yeah. Yeah, generally putting yellow over black is not going to be a recipe for success.
No,
which is what most people make the mistake on, is they try to put the black down first and just yellow stripe back, and you end up with sort of dirty green.
Yellow is a hard color to paint if you make it a hard color to paint.
That's I'm learning to do yellows a little bit better, and like I have always primed black, so going back over that black with like spray yellow, like I got an okay result, but I was not super happy with it. But I did like a 2-part like Zenithal, where I did one in like the first, I did it primed in black, went back and did a spray of white, and then I went a little bit more heavy with bright ass pink, and that worked out real well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Before going over with yellow.
Yeah.
Pink is definitely my go-to to put underneath yellow myself.
Yeah, and then you've got the transition kind of built in already, so you don't really have to worry about shading them. Or I mean, at least you don't have to. Like you can always refine more with the brush once you've done that like kind of pre-shading work, but it definitely makes it easier.
Definitely. Oh, if there are no more, I forgot. I do actually have another quick pick of the week.
I still have one, but you can go for it.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, you're fine.
Well,
Okay.
just really quick, this is still heresy related, but in the digital realm. I think I've talked a couple times about playing Horus Heresy Legions. It's a mobile app game. It's like a Horus Heresy card game basically. It's a kind of a mix between Magic the Gathering and Hearthstone.
Okay.
But I've been playing it for a couple of years. I've always really enjoyed it. I've spent no money on it whatsoever, and you can also get it through Steam. It's free to play, and they've just implemented some new like campaign style like single player missions where you can play through as it's like on a rolling basis. You play through certain characters from certain legions, and as you win you get materials for that legion. So like I just finished up like oh gosh, what is it, word bearers. So like you have to play through and win like 6 matches against different opponents that tells like a little narrative story, as you go through it. Like it started off with Argel Tal. And then you played through as Erebus, to show kind of his fall and betrayal, and then you play through as Lorgar.
Nice.
And the way that the game works is you have a warlord, the 3 that I just mentioned, and each one of them has like a unique ability, and as you play through you build your deck as you go along. So it's a very I've enjoyed the game personally. The artwork that they have in there is really good. And if you're into just getting a heresy fix kind of like on a 10-minute break, you can get a quick game in. But I like it. It's low stress, and then you don't have to spend any money on it if you don't want to.
Yeah, it's kind of like Hearthstone in that respect, right? Where like the character you pick kind of like determines your deck, or like kind of the like core theme or like mechanic of your deck, and then you can kind of like refine it from there.
Not sort of, but not really. So when you choose your warlord, like that's going to choose your faction. So obviously if you choose Argel Tal, you're going to be word bearers. But so whenever you choose your warlord, they have their own ability that they can use, and sometimes it can be like a central mechanic to your deck, and sometimes it's just kind of a support. Really depends. But when you choose your warlord, that gives you the access to the different factions that you can build your deck out of. So obviously if you're playing a word bearers warlord, you get access to the word bearers cards, everything that's specifically word bearer faction. But then you also have access to just
Trader cards.
regular chaos,
Okay.
and imperial army, and mechanicum, because those are like those are neutral factions, so you can kind of pick and choose from all of those factions. But it's really neat. I'm not going to say it's the most balanced of all games, because it definitely goes in cycles, but it's in a good place right now, and this is a good way to jump in, and like you play through that campaign the first time for free, and you'll get Argel Tal as a warlord, which he's a very interesting warlord just in general, because like he has an ability that you use where basically it's like a 2 energy cost, and it does a damage to a target of your choice, and if you kill it, you get a card and you can act again, which not that fantastic, but every time you kill something, you have a card in your hand that reduces in cost, and eventually you can use that to turn into was it Rom? Was that his name? The demon?
Yeah.
So you can turn into that demon, or as you're building your deck, if you build your deck where it's mostly neutral chaos cards, you just start as Rum.
Well,
So
there you go.
he's kind of unique, but I really like it. There's lots of characters that you'll know, and are familiar with, and it's pretty easy to get just right into it. So
Mhm.
I've been playing that a little bit more here lately, and I'll always recommend people try it out when they have an opportunity.
Nice.
Yeah. Cool.
Yeah. No, I think we've had this conversation before, but like I would check out Legions if I didn't already have like a mobile game that like was my, you know, poop game or like like long car ride game. I play the Fire Emblem Heroes game because Fire Emblem's
Yeah, that's
like
that's a pretty good game too. I
Yeah.
go I'll jump between a few different ones. And this is one that I'll play for, a week here, and then I'll stop for a few months, and then I'll get a notification like, hey, new Legion stuff is available. Like, all right, let me check it out. And then
yeah.
inevitably I'll play through it for a few days. And it's like I said, I don't spend any money on the game. But I've still got a really nice collection that I've just been able to, gather over, I guess probably been playing for like 2 years now.
Yeah. That's cool, man.
Yeah.
So my pick of the week is the Instagram account Electric Eve. I believe I don't remember if her name's Emily or Evelyn, but she was one of the Games Workshop like video painters before they got Duncan. And she has painted up one of the new Iconoclast War Master Titans. It's like the new like melee only War Master. And I like how like vibrant and colorful her work always is. She's pretty good painter. It's like she's gone for like a white. I don't know if this is a particular Legio. I don't think she really cares about
It's
that.
not one that I recognize, which just makes it cooler, honestly.
Yeah, so it's like a marbled like black and like fucking neon green with some white panels as accent with like some kind of like dark brass or dark gold trim, and it looks pretty shit hot. It looks pretty great.
Yeah, it's pretty fucking cool. I like that.
It definitely makes me think about like just doing a custom Legio just to be able to paint the Titans something fucking weird. Definitely seems very chaosy. I think she's also done the regular War Master, and I think she did the same kind of thing except like pink marble, which is pretty sick also. Oh yeah, it was like pink and like magenta and cyan, like marbled as well. So that's pretty sick.
That's pretty shit hot. Yeah.
Yeah. So good job, Eve.
You
Keep
know
up the
me
good
with
work.
the cyan and pink.
Not that you listen or give a shit about my opinion, but yeah.
I mean, you could just send her a link and be like, "Hey, we talked about you, winky face."
God damn it, dude. I don't even want to fucking guess how many freaking messages she gets a day from fucking dudes being weird about stuff. I don't know. Whatever. And just to keep Eric from being triggered, I linked specifically the picture she posted, not the video. I was going to post the video just to piss Eric off, but
He really hates turntables.
well, it's not even a turntable. It's like a video of like her whole painting process. That's like kind of edited like a TikTok video.
Like,
yeah,
I just want to see the end result. I don't really care how the rest of it's done.
Yeah, so I knew it would trigger the shit out of you if I fucking posted that. Oh God. All right. Well, do we have any misses this week?
Abso-fucking-lutely.
Oh boy, let's fucking hear it. Let's
I
enter the salt mines, boys. Let's go. It's the walls are salt, the ceiling's salt, air is salt. Let's go.
Air, your salt.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if you
Both
guys
is the way of
saw it,
life.
but
Obviously, the environment down here is all salt. The ceiling's salt, the floor is salt, the walls are salt.
there's been a really cool picture of one of those War Master Titans that Warhammer community put on their, they featured among a bunch of other ones, but it's it's got this it's been really mutated and has like all these blood tendrils coming out of the arm,
Yeah,
and
the
like
chaos one. I saw it. Yeah.
yeah, it's a really cool looking conversion. Not my aesthetic personally, but really masterfully done.
Yeah.
And
Oh, Eve's Titan's in this article as well. Well, I didn't even know that, so there you go.
and like
Still in for GW.
there's a couple of people, like it's been making the rounds, and like there's just so many people that are just going off on how that's so 40K, get it out of 30K. Like what do you mean? Like, well, that mutations on Titans, and and that kind of blood, and like all of that's 40K. Like, get that out of 30K. Like, what
Did
the
you
fuck are y'all
not
talking
read
about?
Mortis?
No,
Do
like,
they not know that corrupted titans are literally in the very next book to release?
and
Like,
yeah,
the,
that's like
I don't. You mean the book that's releasing with this fucking kit? Like,
Um,
oh boy.
like,
I'm sorry. Like, I thought that was always a thing. Like, they were some of the first things to get visually corrupted was Titans and Knights. I thought.
well, I'm
Or am
like,
I wrong?
Well, yeah, because I mean that was the Schism of Mars, which was pretty fucking early in the heresy.
well, that was
Or
like,
what was that one? God, the Slaneshi Knight that corrupted early. That had like the big fucking
Oh,
whip.
that was,
House
yeah,
Divine.
That was laying Blood Angels and Ultramarines out
That
left, right, and
yeah, it
center
was
in there.
Moloch.
Yeah.
oh yeah. Well, people just their big complaint was not that it was not well done. It was that Warhammer community was featuring it in a 30K centric article. And I'm like, guys, like you're the reason why no one wants to jump in and play at this community.
Yeah, this
because,
is
like,
not the same thing as that fucking Sons of Horus thing that everybody
Yeah.
lost their shit about. Like this is not that. That was something
Well,
completely different.
It was okay. Well, still, like even if it's completely different, it still showcases a bit of a problem where this hardcore angry gatekeeping. Like I understand everyone's going to have their own like proclivities and and preferences when it comes to how they play, and like there's no way that we can police that to any real extent, but like people got to calm down and have to just take a step back and realize that this is a hobby that is enjoyed by a great many different people from with different backgrounds and different likes and dislikes, and also that the storyline has like evolved in Heresy over the years. Like the Heresy of 10 years ago is not an exact duplication of Heresy today. Like the story has moved on. Like the people people with their 10-year-old Heresy armies are still just as valid as people making something brand new. It's just
no,
I
and
just get
for the
tired of
record,
people's salt.
I agree as well. Like I don't think it's appropriate, but I'm just saying like the last time there was this gatekeepy like accusing GW of like I don't know what they're accusing GW of, but like misrepresenting the heresy or something. I don't know. Like that was like the gatekeeping of like like the garden gate to like get into like the front yard of the house. This is like gatekeeping of like a fucking mail slot. Like the gate being kept here is so fucking small. Like why are you even bothering? Why do you care, man?
Yeah, that's kind of what I'm getting at. But like it's okay to show or show your preferences or whatever, but like don't put down the artist, and don't try to make a big deal out of something that ultimately doesn't matter and realistically only makes things better for us, because at least Heresy stuff is getting featured.
Yeah, no kidding.
At least these specialist game systems are getting are being featured and getting support. Like like for years and years, people complained that these specialist game systems that they poured all their time and energy into weren't getting supported, and now all of the specialist games are getting real support and growth and are more popular and healthier than they have been in decades. And it's like we as a community just keep wanting to shoot ourselves in the foot.
Yeah. Also, just while you were talking, I was looking this up also. Like, Master of Mankind is a thing that happened, and this was going on 6 years ago now, where, like, it's the war in the webway, and there's, like, literal entire, like, demon titan legios in the fucking webway. Like, I don't... sure, man. Like, once again proving that the loud minority is the loud minority that actually don't know what the fuck they're talking about. So just keep
not
that
my
in mind.
heresy.
Not my heresy. Not my corrupted titans that Aaron Dembski Bowden literally wrote into the fucking heresy like 6 years ago. And
you just gotta go down their posts where they're bitching and just be like, and hit them with that GIF image of the dude. Well, that's just like your opinion, man. Just watch him fucking spurg out.
Yeah, well, that's just like your opinion, man.
yeah.
That could always be a miss of the week, but every time I see one of those like posts blow up, I'm like, seriously, guys, like we could bitch about better things. Like there's things that are actually productive to bitch about. This is not one of them.
Yeah.
I have stopped working on everything because I just
Well,
cannot be bothered.
You also have an excuse though, like you are doing other stuff, right? Like you're
also yes.
He's a working man.
yeah, or woman. You know, I don't discriminate. But
I mean, I have told you what I am, and I've showed you pictures.
what
Graphic
is it? Furry
pictures.
Fenrica.
The chonky Fenrilka.
Chonky Fenrilka. OnlyFans page. Check it out. Linked in the description to the video. God damn it.
Tasteful. That's all I'll use to describe it. Tasteful.
This is one of those things that's like we have to commit now. Like we have to actually make sure that that's a website.
I'll be honest with you.
To...
I've been meaning to actually do it, and I've just because of my work schedule and just how tired I've been. Like I've not committed to the joke. Like there are a number of jokes that I've been making for so long that like I know that I've just by honor's sake have to do it. Like at some point I'm gonna have to have some poor soul tattoo Miss Pac-Man on my ass. Like I've been saying that since I was like 15. That like I'm gonna get Miss Pac-Man tattooed on my ass.
Miss
so
Pac-Man tattoo, Chonky Fenrilka OnlyFans account,
page,
audio library of Chuck Tingle's collected works.
as read by Deckard Cain from Diablo, or in whatever other voices I can come up with.
I was gonna propose Donald Trump, but you know.
Also, by tasteful, what he means is you're going to be tasting your lunch again.
I hope your lunch was tasty because you having it again in getting seconds.
This just sounds like more. This kind of sounds like we're invading Major Kill's space of horrible.
I mean, sure. But yeah, so do we want to get on into the topic for this week now that we are over an hour in?
Do. I'm so excited. I'm fucking amped.
Well, why don't you take us away then, Ben? Why don't you tell us about it?
All right. So, in the far, far away times, I don't even remember what year this book came out, but when book 6 of the Heresy Black Book series came out, and I believe it was called Retribution. Retribution. When that came out way back in the day, probably what, 2016, 2017, somewhere around there.
We were so young and full of life. Before the
we were
back
young
before
and
the plague time.
Full of piss and vinegar.
Young, dumb, and full of all right, book 6, Retribution. One of the cool little additional rules or rule sets that particular book came with was a rule set that governed the use of what was called the Shattered Legions, and this was to represent the makeshift or desperate alliances that the different factions would, sign themselves up for or get involved with. Sometimes when there was, survival was, you know, the only shared goal. So this was meant to represent stuff like the Istvan massacre, like the different
Shadrach, all them.
factions, banding together to form their last defense. But what what they released was a rule set that allowed you to mix and match units from different legions, and kind of get the benefits of all to some extent. Meanwhile, making it a little more unique than simply picking up, taking allies, but being able to make this soup of an army using units from all over. Um, there are some restrictions. There's some potential penalties that you have to go through. But what it means on the tabletop is that you can put together an army using lots of different pieces from your collection. Making some pretty cool looking armies, and doing some kind of unique things on the tabletop. So what we decided to do, that we were going to do a little bit of a dive on what Shattered Legions lets you do, and then kind of go over a couple of army ideas that each of us kind of came up on our own to kind of show you things that you could possibly do with these armies. Because I'll be honest with you, in my years of playing Heresy, I've not seen a single person ever run a Shattered Legion, and I'll admit that I've not been. It's not something that I've been exceptionally interested in personally, so I've not really explored it. Um, but now that I'm looking more into it, and especially now that I've written a couple of lists, I'm like, I can see why I would want to do this.
Mhm.
Like,
I
if
th-
there, and I'm
I
sorry, go
th-
ahead.
Sorry. I just was gonna say I know that Will from Richmond and the Remembrancers Retreat. I know he has a Shattered Legions force of Iron Hands, Raven Guard, and some Salamanders. I know like Iron Hands is his primary army, but he also like did some Raven Guard and Salamanders to be able to kind of lean into that
I feel like
Istvan.
Ed might have done some too.
Yes, but I just
Maybe.
haven't seen them yet. Or like I've seen them, but I haven't seen him play them. I'll put it that
Well,
way.
Yeah, definitely.
yeah, I've definitely. I know some people. Well, I certainly know that all of us, that play, everyone has multiple armies, so being able to pull this off on the table shouldn't be a problem. But I think that a lot of people get really stuck on wanting to use like Legion specific rights of war, because they do give such powerful bonuses, or they really play into the theme of an army. Um, and so they just overlook this as like, well, it really doesn't do exactly what I want it to do.
Oh, but
So,
that's the thing, Ben. It definitely can.
well, that's what I was going to say. Like, I think that they're overlooking it for the wrong reasons. So what I would like to do is I'm going to do a quick read through of the special rules that govern just the Shattered Legion's army building process. Um, just so that you can get a quick idea of what it means to be or take a Shattered Legion's army, and then we can jump in and kind of talk about the individual special rules and the unique rights of war that they get, and then we can go into the army lists if that jives for everybody.
It dives.
I mean, I am a jive
Wonderful.
turkey, so
That is, well, yes.
I
You are
jive. I
the.
jive most strongly.
Don't
So,
sell yourself short, Jake. You are the jive turkey.
The jive turkey. I'll accept
Mr.
that.
President Jive Turkey.
President Turkey. Fuck. All right.
Yep.
Moving on.
So
Shit.
very, very quickly going through the building of a Shattered Legion's army. So it's the force is chosen from the Space Marine Crusade army list. And unlike a conventional Legionis Astartes force, the primary detachment must include units with different versions of the Legionis Astartes special rule. The primary detachment must contain elements of at least 2 different factions. In order to take any choices from a specific legion, the force must contain a Praetor or Centurion, including any of the console types, or suitable HQ special characters. Even though vehicles and some other units in the Legionis Astartes army list do not have the Legionis Astartes special rules, it should be made obvious from excuse me, I'm hiccuping. From their paint scheme, which legion they belong to. This is particularly important in the case of transport vehicles, which that's a little unique there. Like normally the rules don't go as far to say like, hey, you really need to paint your shit in a proper way, but it do here. So this one's big. A Shattered Legions army may never include a Primarch or any models with the Legionis Astartes Black Shield special rule. Black Shields are already kind of like they're kind of a Shattered Legion in and of themselves, like in a way, but you can't have them included with this rule set. And it does go on to say that while most Shattered Legion armies were loyalists at the beginning of the Age of Darkness, later on, traitor-aligned forces came into being as well. Therefore, the army should be declared as belonging to the traitor or the loyalist faction and will be subject to the normal limitations and options therein. So nothing, too crazy there, but that just gives you the base overview of what you have to do to build a Shattered Legions. But then there are a couple of other special rules that come into play. The first is the whole is greater than the sum, which states that so long as the army's warlord is alive and on the table, units from different legions treat one another as sworn brothers. So, for example, if you want to take Space Wolves with 1,000 Suns, as long as the HQ or the warlord is alive, they're totally cool with each other. However, otherwise, units from different legions count each other as distrusted allies. In this last instance, only those units from the same legion as the warlord can be scoring units. So you got to be very careful about how you build your army at that point. But that's very interesting that it goes as far as saying that units if the warlord dies or is not on the table, even if the allies matrix has you as swarm brothers, you don't get to benefit from the normal allies matrix. You will be considered a distrusted ally, so all of the negative effects apply without a warlord. So be aware of that as you're building out the army. The price of redemption is next. Which states that units in the Shattered Legion army are never counted as denial units. So any of missions that are going to be involved with objectives are going to be a little bit more difficult for Shattered Legions just out the gate.
You have to take the whole objective fully. You can't just contest it. You have to take it.
Exactly. You do have a couple of special rights of war, but it does go to say that the Shattered Legion army may use rights of war in normal ways, having access to all of the general rights of war in the game. The army may use Legion-specific rights of war if the warlord has the required version of the Legionis Astartes special rule. In this case, any effects described in the right of war as applying to models with a specific version of the Legionis Astartes special rule are applied across the army to all units in it with any version of the Legionis Astartes special rule.
So, Ben, you were saying before we started, why would you take, this format instead of, just taking an allied detachment? And that sentence right there is what's going to do it for you. Being able to apply all of the benefits of your legion-specific right of war to another legion is it can be good in a lot of circumstances, as well as that little next bit there, which basically just removes all of the limitations that different legions have. So, like your Iron Hands rigid tactics doesn't matter. Your Night Lord Seeds of Descent, where they all break and run if the warlord dies, that gets ignored. Same thing for, Raven Guard, Word Bearers, etc., etc. If you have one of those limitations in your basic Legion, you don't have to worry about that anymore.
Yep. And I believe that they have gone on to FAQ some of the armies that have come out after this, or FAQ'd Shattered Legions to include like Space Wolves, Thousand Suns, no, White Scars are already in there. Dark Angel, stuff like that. I think they've added a couple of things in there, but I don't have access to that immediately. But yeah, that is a big deal. So I definitely see Shattered Legions as being a mentally it's a very difficult army to kind of wrap all of the rules around him, because you get into this mode where, like, okay, my entire army am Space Wolf. I know what Space Wolf special rules are, and I only have to remember that and how it applies to my army. But now, once you start mixing and matching, and then you throw in a Rite of War on top of that, potentially, like it really starts messing with kind of your thought patterns on how to play the armies. But the end result, once you get used to it, means that you can do some really powerful combinations of stuff, and the removal of some of these limitations can really make a drastic effect on your army building, which hopefully we can go over here in a little bit of detail. Jake, if you have the book open, do you have the Rights of War?
I got the book open.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah, go
I
ahead.
do not. I do not own that book, so
None of us own this book.
This is actually one of 2 books that I own.
Oh wait, no, I do own this book. Never mind. It's 5 that I don't own.
shout out to the
anyone who's
listeners.
listening,
Yeah.
if you have book 5, please.
If you're looking to get rid of a copy of book 5, please let Ben know so he can shut the fuck up about it.
You know what? I feel like that was unnecessary, Jake. But well, go ahead,
Be sure
Eric.
to
Why don't
send
you
Jake
read
all
that
hate
first?
mail app.
That's argeltalkpodcast@gmail.com. ARGEL talk@podcast.com.
Next week's topic: why we all hate Jake. Next. No,
Op-ed: why Jake sucks ass.
Bitches that be out here asking you to eat ass and then screaming when you take the first bite.
Damn it.
For those of you who don't know, that's an actual Conrad Kurz quote.
People don't think it be
It's
like
in
it
book
is,
9
but it
if you haven't bought it yet.
All right, so yeah, there are a couple of different Shattered Legion's unique Rights of War. The first one being titled After Istvan, and this is basically supposed to represent your survivors and refugees from the 3 legions that got giga-fucked at Istvan 5, being the Raven Guard, the Salamanders, and the Iron Hands.
Giga-fucked, god damn it.
So the effects are survival of the fittest. Your Legion veteran tactical squads may be taken as non-compulsory troops. You have Crucible of Hate. All units with the Legiones Astartes special rule have the Hatred Traders, and Blood Price. When the Slay the Warlord special secondary objective is in play, Shattered Legion's army gains not 1 but D3 victory points for achieving this objective. Now, limitations that go along with that: your primary detachment must contain an HQ from the Iron Hands, Raven Guard, and Salamander's legions. You cannot use any allies, Lords of War, fortifications, and you may not contain more Legion tactical squads than Legion veteran tactical squads. The idea being there that basically everyone who managed to get out of the massacre alive kind of has achieved that veteran status.
Like by default.
Yeah, just you've seen some shit, you've been there.
Battlefield promotion, gentlemen. Congratulations. Your pay still sucks, though.
Yeah. Dude, Hatred Traders is no fucking joke.
Dude, hatred anywhere you can get it is always good.
Yeah, you are not wrong.
It's also really good to be able to get that extra victory points for killing the enemy's warlord. And veteran tactical squads, or veteran squads, are always a thing that are good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
it's one of those things where you're going to want more scoring units in your army because you can't deny things. So you want to be able to take objectives and not just deny them from the enemy. And veterans have that implacable advance and will be troops.
Yep.
Yeah.
So the next one, or you guys have any more comments on that?
No, go ahead.
I do think it's a little restrictive, being that you have to have 3 HQs and they all have to be with different legions, which also means you have to have,
All
more
three.
units from all those legions.
No,
An interesting thing is that you don't have to have troops from those legions, so you can just take like a unit of Pyroclasts, and there's your Salamanders representative.
well, so you have to have a unit and a HQ from each of those,
I think you
or
just have
does it only say
believe
that?
so?
Because I don't think that there's anything that like states you have to have a certain number of units.
Actually, no, you're right. You just
think
have
it's
to
just
have
HQs.
from specific legions. You have to have Praetors or HQs.
Doesn't-
So yeah, you can have like one Salamander guy as your
Shadrach
HQ,
Medicine-
and he's the only Salamander.
Yeah, like or it does say that it doesn't have to be Praetors. It can be,
Any
it can be
HQ.
consuls. Or yeah, so
Question: doesn't Shadrach Medicine do something
The medicine
silly
man.
when he's in army? I want to say he's got a rule where he counts as all three of those when he's in a Shattered Legion's army.
You might be right about that.
But I could be wrong. I think it's something he does.
well,
He
what?
may
Give me
actually
just 1
fulfill it.
second, and I can pull
Well,
that
well,
up. I've got the
Yeah, so
Legionis.
Sadrak Medusan, Master of the Shattered Legions, in addition to Iron Hand's Rights of War, may select rights unique to the Raven Guard and Salamanders, counting as having the requisite versions of the Legionis Astartes special rule for the purposes of its effects and limitations.
so I
Ah,
don't know
interesting.
that it means that he counts as like all three. So like if you were taking that right of war, I don't think you could just take Shadrach Medusan.
Well, that's
Yeah,
my
that
question.
just means
I'm
like you
wondering.
can take Shadrach Medusan and take, say, Covenant of Fire.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I didn't know if maybe it stacked in and said, well, maybe he can count as more than one.
That would be real neat, but I don't think that works that way.
Yeah. So the next one is the Hunter Killer mission. This is, kind of think of your Nikona Sherokin going to assassinate Fulgrim.
God, you want to talk about fucking
deal.
like too cool for school fucking edgelord characters, man.
That's a whole other episode in itself. But the effect
tabled, pin that.
Yeah, Masters of the Hunt, Legion Recon squads are not subject to the support squad rule.
Poggers.
Seeker squads may be taken as non-compulsory troops choices.
And if you go back and listen to our Recon Squad episode, you might realize how fucking bananas that could be.
There's Run Them Down. Enemy units that are entirely wiped out earn their army an additional victory point in missions where victory points are used to determine the winner. If the unit is destroyed in a sweeping advance, then you get not one but D3 victory points.
So fucking dumb, dude.
And then there's Jaws of the Trap. When rolling to determine which table edge an outflanking unit arrives by, if a 6 is rolled, the controlling player may choose to bring the unit into play from any table they wish, including the opponent's table edge or their own.
Which, if you recall, Recon Squads have acute senses, so you can also re-roll that to fish for that 6 if you really wanted to.
It's pretty fucking good, though.
Yeah, so limitations, it obviously can only be used by a Shattered Legion, but also, interestingly, can only be used by a Shattered Legion belonging to the Traitor faction. And that's actually a thing that's kind of pointed out in the fluff blurb, that loyalist survivors are scattered across the Northern Imperium and beyond. The War Master tasked certain elements to hunt them down and slaughter them to a man. So that's not really your Nikona Sherokin, that's just...
That's more of your Narek Drager, like, word bearers kill team hunting the fucking salamanders and friends across fucking Imperium Secundus.
Exactly. So also the army's warlord must have the Legionis Astartes Emperor's Children special rule.
All Tarvits.
Yeah, there you go. Can he be a traitor?
No, I don't know. Well, he might be able to, but I wouldn't let him be.
Also, the army must contain units from at least 2 different legions. I think that does put in you have to have your HQs and then something else. And then the army may never earn victory points for controlling objective markers, terrain, or areas of the table.
You
So
want to talk about your fucking
have to go and kill shit.
Alpha Strike, like, fucking table strategy fucking army. That's
so those
so
are the
bizarre.
only ones that are specific to any sort of Shattered Legion, but there is another one, and I'm stalling for time as I flip through it because it belongs specifically to the White Scars. It is called the Magyar Mazan, right here, page 265. This one, you have to have a Master of the Legion with the Legionis Astartes White Scars, and has to be a Shattered Legion. This is to represent, after the events of Scars, if you've read that, where half the Legion decides, hey, we want to go for the War Master, and the Khan says, no, the fuck you don't. He sends them on basically a penitent crusade. Just go out amongst the stars, kill as many traitors as you can, and die trying. So the effects of this one are Death Seekers. At the end of any game in which victory points are used to determine the winner, roll a d6 for every unit with a Legionis Astartes special rule in this detachment that has been destroyed. And in doing so, yielded victory points to the opponent. On a roll of 4 or 5, no victory points are awarded, and on a 6, no victory points are awarded, and the owning side earns an additional victory point. It's like, fuck you, we're trying to die. You get nothing. Also, the Serpent's Eye, all models with the Legionis Astartes special rule are fearless for the first turn of any assault.
Ooh,
Nice.
That's pretty good.
that is pretty good.
Limitations: this rite of war may only be used by a loyalist army, and it may never contain more vehicles than it has units with the infantry type.
That's interesting.
Fair.
Because it's sort of White Scars theme, but it doesn't want you to bring vehicles. It wants you to be on foot.
Right, yeah, so one of the things
Which is
of
lucky since the Khan is on foot.
so it is interesting, is one of the things that Shattered Legion specifically ignores is the White Scars to laugh in Death's face rule, which is one of those limitation ones. Let me scroll back to see exactly what it does. But you must take a fast attack choice before taking any heavy support choices, which still, doesn't apply in that rite of war, but it does give you kind of a little more edge of, the restriction that you're going to have when you take this army.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cool.
Nice, man.
Well, that is an overview of the construction of a Shattered Legion's army list. So unless anyone has something else to add, I say we jump into kind of going over some army lists.
I do have one more. There is one more thing to mention on page 205. There's a special little call-out box about special characters. It basically tells you that you can use special characters, but kind of be aware and just don't be a dick and kind of make sure it makes sense.
Yeah, they have taken a stance on or made comments kind of like that in a number of books and army lists, where it just says like, look, the rules are going to allow this, but maybe dial it back on your own. Like I remember specifically them saying something like that in the Demons of the Ruin Storm army list.
Yeah, where
Like,
it's like, this
basically
is
admitting,
experimental,
like, hey,
it plays weird, there's probably some interactions here that were maybe not intended, and, like, don't be a shithead.
Yeah, and it just kind of goes back to that idea that 30K is less of a kick your dick in tournament kind of game and more of a pseudo-historical where you want to have a good story for your army and things to make sense.
Narrative game.
That said,
Yeah.
we're about to break the fuck out of it.
Speak for yourself.
Well, I've got
shit. Speak for yourself.
I got real excited about this. So I actually made 2 different army lists.
Well, so how about we'll lead off with one, and then we'll circle back to you, and we'll end with your second one. How does that
I think
sound?
that sounds like a great idea. So I have a pretty reasonable collection of different armies, and I'm always excited to start other things. So I started off with a Shattered Legion using the Pride of the Legion Rite of War, combining Iron Hands and Ultramarines.
Nice.
So I started off with my warlord being a Ultramarines Delegatus, and I kept him basically stock. Just I gave him nothing super special except an invulnerable save. But then I have a Forge Lord from the Iron Hands as well, because I just really like the idea of having if you're going to take Iron Hands, you've got to have something with servo arms somewhere.
Naturally.
Yep. So I've got the Forge Lord in there wearing his Cataphracti and with a Volkite charger. So for my troops, though, I have done a single squad from both Iron Hands and Ultramarines, just a basic 10-man squad of both, each mounted in a Rhino. You know, kept them stock, so they're just dudes. Then, as my compulsory troops choice, since this is a Pride of the Legion army list, I have taken 2 squads of Iron Hands Cataphracti, each in a Land Raider Phobos. And the Terminators are stocked out with, chain fists and power fists primarily. So they're my beat sticks, and they're all in Land Raiders with twin-linked heavy bolters and twin-linked las cannon sponsons. So they're going to be my beaters up in the front with the tactical squads, playing, objectives and support. And those are going to be supported. Those are going to be supported by an unnecessary amount of Fulmintaris Terminator squads, all with Cyclone missiles. So I've got 2 squads of 5. So that means that each squad can fire 10 missiles. And I've also given them dedicated transports of Land Raider Proteuses, Protei, with triple twin-linked las cannons in there. So this list has 4 different Land Raider chassis, 10 twin-linked las cannons, 10 Cyclone missile launchers, and and then we get into the actual benefits of the legions themselves. So the whole point of the Fulmintaris, excuse me, are to sit in the back and rain death and destruction down on the front lines, while the Iron Hands Terminators, are the front lines. I've got the Ultramarines Tacticals up there that can paint a target by shooting at it. Then thus activating the interlocking tactics special rule for the Ultramarines, which give bonuses to hit to the Fulmintaris.
Is it a hit or a wound?
Excuse me?
Sorry.
I think it is to wound. I think it is to wound, yes.
It's I think you reroll once to wound on anything that's been hit. It doesn't have to be injured, just hit.
Yeah, exactly.
Super
And
good.
then, in fact, you know what? Let me pull that up and I'll read exactly what it says. So, interlocking tactics. The Ultramarines pride themselves above all things for their unity of purpose. I don't care. Whenever a unit with the Legionis Astartes Ultramarine special rule makes a shooting attack against a target which has already been successfully hit in the same shooting phase by another Ultramarines unit, they may re-roll rolls of 1 to wound or penetrate the target's armor. So, it will work for whether I'm firing at other dudes or vehicles with the Fulmintaris.
Dudes shooting at dudes.
Yep.
The forum.
Whenever a unit with the Legiones Astartes Ultramarine Special Rule charges a unit which is already engaged in an assault by another Ultramarines unit and fails to reach the target owing to a failed charge, they must re-roll that roll. So I've only got 3 infantry units, but if something gets into combat with one of the squads of Fulmintaris, the other ones can come and get re-rolls to charge to get over there, because probably play them close together. So that takes care of the long range capabilities between between 4 Land Raiders and 10 Fulmintaris Terminators. That's a pretty reasonable amount of anti-armor. Well, the Terminator, the 2 regular Terminator squads are Iron Hands. So Terminators are good no matter what. They just always are going to pull their weight. But Iron Hands Terminators get a little bit of a buff in that they have the inviolate armor. So whenever you shoot at them, they count the strength as being less. So against most things that you're going to, like bolters and whatnot, they're going to be wounding on 5s now instead of 4s. So it's just going to be a lot harder to weaken them at range. Granted, they're all going to be in Land Raiders anyway, but should something happen to it and it does cause them to have to foot slog, or they fail a charge or something like that, at least they're going to be a nice, chunky, durable unit that's not going to get immediately shot to shit. So I like this. I like this kind of blend of short range tough unit backed up by just overwhelming firepower. Like that's my play style right there. But I really like how the 2 armies really benefit one another, special rules wise. And Pride of the Legion really works for this.
Well, maybe not everybody, but we all know how much I love Land Raider Protei, so
yeah. So normally I don't run that many Armor 14 chassis. So in reality, I probably would tone that back to 3 tops. But considering that I am lacking some other, I've got a very small unit count for 2,500 points. That's a big concession. Because every unit on the table, with the exception of the tacticals, that's a huge chunk of points. I mean, the 2 Terminator squads are 420 with their dedicated transports, and the Fulmintaras are 575 with their with their Land Raiders. So I mean, this is an expensive, hyper elite army, and how it will work on the tabletop, like I feel like it would, if it could survive a first turn fuselage of fire, I think it would do really well, because anything, like, not much is going to stand up to that many accurate and very secure missile launches from those Cyclone missile launchers.
Yeah.
So yep, that's that in a nutshell.
Nice.
Yeah, that sounds pretty crunchy.
All right, who's next?
I can do my bad list. My Gonzo list here.
Go for it.
So, pulling it up. So I had the idea of approaching the Shattered Legions from a less effective, like it's not going to be super tough on the table, but it is going to be like fun. I don't know. So the idea I had was it's Word Bearers and Ultramarines in the Shattered Legion
I like it already.
as a traitor force. Basically, the idea I had was, Word Bearers went through and ran train on the Ultramar segmentum. And so the idea is, well, maybe these are some guys that are like, well, fuck it, we're not beating them, let's join them, and swap teams.
Ooh.
Theoretical, what if we were little bitches? Practical, let's join the winning side.
Practical, Gilliman is.
You know. So what's fun is when their interlocking tactics applies to everything in the Shattered Legion force, which is good, which I like. I'm there for it. So anyways, we have a Word Bearer's Chaplain, Artificer Armor, Burning Lore. He's got a jump pack, refractor field, tinned weapon, Crozius, just your standard sort of jumpy Word Bearer's Chaplain, if you're gonna make one jump.
A
We have an
jumpy bonker.
Ultramarine. Yeah, exactly. We got an Ultramarines Master of Signal with a Legantine Axe, an Artificer Armor, and then an Ultramarines Praetor with Mantle of Ultramar, Iron Halo, Legantine Axe, the Fixins. Do you run that? Those are your HQs. Your elites are a Word Bearer's Dreadnought, a 5-man Gal Vorback with a Power Axe thrown in there, and a 10-man Invictus Suzerain with 2 Thunderhammers in there.
Fucking love it, dude.
Yep. We've got a 20-man Word Bearers Tactical Squad and a 9-man Ultramarine Breacher Squad, but it's their special breachers. Those ones, the Power Sword breachers. And those guys are
what are they? Fucking suzerain? Is that what that is?
no. So suzerain are the Axe boys
The
with the AP2 and
suzerains.
initiative.
Yeah, suzerains are the ones with the breachers, or with the shields.
Right, but Ultramarines, so they have I feel like there's a unit name for it that I'm forgetting, but Ultramarines, they're breachers. No, Loki Taurus are jump infantry. These guys, they're breachers. They're regular compulsory troop breachers. Can choose to swap their bolters for power swords.
Oh.
Is that the Iron Imperial Fists Phalanx Warders?
No, this is an Ultramarines.
No, there is not a Ultramarines special unit. Like there's the suzerains, the Locturus Storms, and the Fulmentaris.
I mean, you guys can look it up, but Ultramarines, they're breachers. They're breachers.
Don't worry, I will.
Their breachers can swap for power swords. It's really expensive and it's really silly, but a 10-man squad of that thrown in a termite is pretty. I think it's fun. Just have 10 power swords pop out with boarding shields and charge into something that you didn't want charged.
Fair enough. Well,
and I gave the sergeant Thunderhammer in that squad.
Yeah, I mean that's the Alpha Chad move, right? Is to give the breacher sergeant the Thunderhammer and the breaching charge.
Yeah, because he's got a Thunderhammer boarding shield. He's pretty Chadly. And then I have a 4-man Fulmentaris squad. Or sorry, a 5-man Fulmentaris squad.
I'm about to say, one's dead already? Jesus, Jet Gray.
So sorry, I'm reading it off of Battlescribe. You know how that's not the greatest. And then an Ashen Circle 10-man squad with power axes, and that's where your chaplain's going to sit right in that squad there.
Like, can you imagine just how bad the situation has to be for the Ultramarines to just knowingly ally with, Gal Vorback?
Yeah.
Well, so it was just kind of a funny, like, this would never happen sort of list that I put together. And one of the things I went for was I wanted to put a lot of very iconic units for each legion in there. So it's got, between the 2 legions that are involved in this, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's got 5 of the 6 troop units are legion specific. So it's just like there's Ultramarine as possible, and there is Word Bearers as possible, and other you got your Word Bearers and my Ultramarine. No, you got your Ultramarine and my Word Bearer.
Remind me, did you say that you had a right of war for this or no?
No.
Okay.
I do not have a right of war. This is right of war free. Or this is free from right of war. This
It's
is basic
Ultramarines hanging out with Gal Vorback. There's like a wrong of war, not a right of war.
Yeah,
Fair
this is
enough.
this is as wrong as you can get. I was just sort of funny little idea I had.
Yeah.
I like
Yeah.
it.
Oh yeah, I
I
like
think
it. I like that would be neat to play against, just if for nothing else, the novelty of it.
Right, and it's novel, and I don't think it's a bad list either. I think it's a pretty decent list. It's got some crunchy units in there, and it's definitely close combat oriented. The list is. It's made
Yeah.
to get in there and fight in close combat.
I mean,
All
it's
the
kind of
best
where
lists
word
are, really.
bearers. That's kind of where word bearers belong, honestly.
Yeah.
But
And the word bearers are benefiting from interlocking tactics in this list, so that re-rolling charges,
rerolling charges,
well,
rerolling
they
those
will get that,
wounds. It's pretty
which
poggers.
is kind of big. Or you throw your Ashen Circle at something and then use them as an anchor so you can re-roll your charges and bring something else in and beat it over the head.
Yeah. They also make sweeping advances easier as well. They're
Yeah.
axe grapples.
Yeah, the power rakes or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. You want to go next, Eric?
Certainly. So mine is taken out of one of these segments of Book 9. The details a part of the Thramas Crusade, whereupon a group of White Scars are approached by the Night Lords and basically told what's going on and say, hey, the Dark Angels have turned against the Imperial. Help us fight them. And it's not long before, the White Scars kind of figure out what's going on. The Dark Angels take some of them prisoner and tell them. But in the meantime, you've got White Scars and Night Lords fighting side by side. So I pulled those together and made a terror assault list that I've posted in the Discord for y'all to read. It starts off with a Praetor of the Night Lords, pretty standard Praetor, along with the jump pack. My White Scars representative is a Master of Signals with melta bombs and a refractor field artificer armor and nothing else special. My elite slot consists of a 10-man Atramentar squad with some chain fists, some headsman's axe, some chain glaives, some power fists, just what I feel like is probably going to be a fairly standard Atramentar list. Troops, all my troops are Night Lords for the simple fact that Terror Squad requires it. I have a 15-man Night Raptor squad with 6 chain glaives and a headsman's axe thrown in there. Trophies of
Ooh.
Judgment on everyone that can take it, of course. 2 minimum size terror squads with Volkite chargers just to fill out those final compulsory choices that are needed, and a White Scars tactical support squad of 8 Marines with plasma guns. Fast attack is an Anvis pattern Dreadclaw drop pod of the White Scars variety. And a 10-man unit of the White Scars Falcon's Claws with melta bombs, and the Strike Leader has a Cyberhawk. I also have a final 3 speeder squadron of javelins with 4 hunter killers strewn about there, along with the missile launchers and heavy bolters. And finally, a Sakaran Arcus strike tank with the Sky Spear warheads and a
Nice.
combi Volkite just for a weapon destroyed fodder. So the basic idea here is number one, Terror Assault gives you +1 initiative and +1 run during any turn of night fighting. It also allows you to immediately call in night fighting on turn 1, continues on turn 2 on a 3+, and to turn 3 on a roll of 6. So this now applies to the White Scars units as well. Falcon's Claws have a special version of the Scout rule that allows them to scout 18 inches. So you scout them up. They're under cover of darkness, which they already have stealth, so that particular aspect of night fighting doesn't give them anything. But you can add 1 to their run to get them in further. If they end up getting charged, you now have initiative 5 lightning claws with hatred characters, as well as the Cyberhawk, which is used for the tactical support squad. So for those not aware of what the Cyberhawk does, you can place it literally anywhere on the table at the start of your turn, and any infantry model is able to. Hold on, let me look up exactly what it is.
Are they able to use it as
Basically,
like a
anything.
marker light?
Yeah, it's kind of like a marker light. So any enemy unit within 6 inches has any of your infantry units shoot at it, reroll ones to wound. So what I would do is I would put my Master of Signals with his Cognitive Signal in the Dreadclaw with the Tactical Support Squad. The obviously just use the Cognitive Signum to grant them +1 to their ballistic skill, giving them BS5. The White Scars special rule means that if you move your maximum distance, you reroll ones to wound. The Cyberhawk lets you reroll ones to hit. You basically have preferred enemy plasma guns that hit on 2s with reroll and wound mostly on 2s with reroll for the gets hot.
That's beautiful.
And then the Master of Signals can also act as a deep strike anchor for the Atramentar squad because they're going to be coming in turn 1 with the Dreadclaw, and the Atramentar at least on turn 2 for deep strike. And then your Terror squads and your Night Raptor squads, they just go and do Night Lords things, and your Javelin and your Arcus just do what they do best.
Yeah.
But yeah, it really comes to getting the most benefit out of Terror Assault to combine with the Falcon's Claws and that White Scars Tactical Support Squad to really, really give them the business. Because the benefit of that is anything that's involved with the Night Lords just gets night vision. So even if you have that night fighting on turn 1 or turn 2 in Terror Assault, the enemy doesn't get any benefit from it at all. Meanwhile, you still get all the stealth bonuses, all the initiative bonuses, etc.
Yeah, that's pretty solid. I like it.
That is definitely solid. I like it.
Definitely living up to the clickbait title. God. Well, I guess I will go with
Breaking
mine now.
Shattered Legions.
Breaking the game with Shattered Legions. I have just put my list into the Discord if you guys want to read along. But as some background context, so this is going to be a Sons of Horus and Thousand Sons list, specifically Luna Wolves for the Sons of Horus. My Luna Wolves army was kind of meant to be more elite and kind of more power gamey, alpha strikey than I would normally play, just because I would like to have kind of a tougher list in my pocket, and the decision to do all non-metallic metal with them kind of also forced me to consider doing a smaller model count army. And as I'd spoken about previously, I decided to make it themed around Hastur Sejanus's Fourth Company. And something, as I was researching Hastur Sejanus, one of the fellowships that he had had throughout the Great Crusade was fighting alongside Phocis Takar of the Thousand Sons, who is the Magister Templi of the Raptora cult, which just happens to be the Kind Shield cult for Thousand Sons, which for those of you who may or may not have experienced the terror that is a Raptora cult Thousand Sons list, basically gives a +1 invulnerable save to whatever unit has that cult keyword. So it gets real silly real quick, and for the Tabletop Inquirer article post, I should say, this week was Gamer's Night House just happens to be the one that has all the Porphyrians in it, And it goes along with their custom Legio that has elite Magos and like rerolls all command checks, yada yada. Where like, you know, we joke about this a lot, where people take like busted stuff and then like retroactively write the lore for their army to kind of like make it fit. Like, oh, I took this for fluffy reasons. It just happens to be the best combination of rules that I could have possibly taken. Well,
yeah, I mean, I kind of just did that too, and I had the same tabletop inquirer in mind as I was talking about it.
Yeah, so in my case, it kind of was the opposite way, where it just so happened that the army idea that I wanted kind of worked out to be the best combination therein. So basically, I have taken...
How many Fire Raptors did you take, Jake?
Well, I took the 3 in the heavy support slot, and then I took a suborbital strike wing as my Lord of War with an additional 3, so it's 6 Fire Raptors total.
That's it. That's the whole list.
Whole ass list, just Fire Raptors.
Two base consoles, 2 10-man tech squads.
Yeah.
You know what? I wish that I had just so much money, and I wish that you had just all of the money too, Jake, so that you and I could just do an APOC game of like 10,000 points. You take nothing but Fire Raptors, and I take nothing but Derrideos, and let's just see what happens.
We'll see who shits on the sidewalk.
Money fight.
So I have built an Axis of Disillusion list. Dissolution. I think I said disillusion. That's not quite the right thing.
I mean, that's how we feel about Inferno in general.
Yeah.
Disillusion.
I thoroughly enjoyed that book. You can fuck off.
So Axis of Dissolution is 1,000 Suns right of war, and I'll just run through it really quickly, just because it's one that I don't think gets seen very often, just because it's kind of restrictive in one of the things that you have to do for it, which Axis of Dissolution. Troops' choices for a detachment using this rite of war must be made up of units that are their maximum possible size. So your troops' choices in this army have to be maxed out units. So
okay.
I think that kind of turns some people away, because you know, with troops, assault units, breacher squads, you can go up to 20-man units, so that kind of gets pricey pretty quick, even if you're keeping them bare bones. But for that, I think they get some pretty sweet benefits. The Alembic of Adamant. Models of Legiones Astartes 1,000 Suns special rule that are part of the force using this rite of war automatically pass any morale checks or pinning tests they are called on to make if they are within 6 inches of an objective when the test is taken. So they basically get fearless within 6 inches of an objective, which is pretty cool. You know, and the Luna Wolves would get this as well, having the Shattered Legions. Caustic of Grace. Models of Legiones Astartes 1,000 Suns special rule that are a part of this force using this rite of war may fire Overwatch at Ballistic Skill 2. So all of your Overwatch in this army is going to be hitting on 5s rather than 6s, which, you know, isn't the best rule in the world, but it's something. And then lastly, the Transition of Vitriol. You may reroll failed to hit into wound rolls for models with Legiones Astartes 1,000 Suns special rule that are part of a force using this rite of war against enemy models which are falling back, which is a pretty niche rule again, but you know, it's better than nothing. I think that's kind of why you don't really see this list very often, is some of the benefits you get are just kind of niche, even though there isn't really a downside to this army other than the max size troop units. It's just the rules you're getting are just not, you know, super worth it. But yeah, so getting into the list, we've got a Legion Praetor, who is my build for Hastur Sejanus. I put him in Tartaros armor, with pretty standard Praetor build. And he has got a Terminator command squad with the standard bearer and 3 chosen, all armed with Volkite chargers, including Sejanus himself, 3 power fists, I believe, and one plasma blaster, and they are going in a Land Raider Phobos. I had modeled their power fists because I actually I've been working on building this unit. I modeled their power fists as kind of like lightning claws ish, because there's a rumor that Sons of Horus will be able to take Eschaton power claws at some point in the future, and I think the Mournival might allow for that, which is basically, for now, officially, is just a Night Lord's war gear that's basically a power fist with shred, is basically what it is. Then the other HQ I have is my Legion Champion, who is my Warlord, who is representing Phosis Takar, with a Jump Pack, Paragon Blade, Power Fist, obviously Raptora Cult, Refractor Field. So then I got Elites. I've got an Apothecarian detachment, all 1,000 Suns, one Jump Pack, and one Artificer Armor Apothecary. I've got a Veteran Tactical Squad for the Luna Wolves, which is a 5-man unit of Combi Plasmas with Stalkers tactics, so they can scout or outflank. Then the troops, which are the main core of the army because of the maxed out unit requirement. I've got a 20-man assault squad, 1,000 Suns, Raptora Cult with combat shields and 4 power axes, Power Fist on the Sergeant. So they're going to be rocking around with a 5-up invuln, 4-up in 4-up in melee, with they'll have the Apothecary with them, giving them the Feel No Pain. So they'll be a pretty tough unit to move in melee, I think, as well as having Phosis Takar in there with them being able to, do whatever telekinesis nonsense he's going to do. Second troops choice is a 20-man breacher unit with, again, Cult Raptora, Melt Bombs, 4 Volkite Chargers. So they're, again, going to be having a 5-up invuln against shooting, a 4-up invuln in melee. And their job is to just sit on an objective and be fearless. So, again, also having an Apothecary with them. So go ahead and shoot that Ballistic Skill 5 fearless 20-man breacher unit with a 5-up invuln save and a 5-up Feel No Pain. They're not going to be going any fucking where. And lastly, I've got a tactical support squad, Luna Wolves with all Volkite Chargers in a Rhino. I think it's a great unit for Luna Wolves. It's a nice skirmishing unit because they'll be getting the Death Dealers proccing off of the Volkite Chargers. If they, from Axis of Dissolution, if they happen to be chasing down a fleeing unit, they'll get re-rolling hits and wounds against that unit, which they're already hitting and wounding on 2s and 3s pretty much with Death Dealers. So that's a nice skirmishing, hunt down, chase unit. Then I got Fast Attack, similar to Eric. Got 3 Javelin Squadron with missile launchers and hunter killers. And then that is it. That is the list. So again, kind of small unit count amount, but then those units are also 2 20-man units with 5-up or 4-up invulns with Feel No Pains that are both fast and also very hard to shift. At least the assault squad's fast. The breacher squad's just meant to sit on something and not get moved. So the idea kind of being, kind of cheesing that Raptora cult a little bit, but also, not just taking, Cataphracti Sekhmet with 3-up invuln saves and just cheesing with that.
John.
So the 1,000 Suns are kind of the anchor point of the list, with the couple of Luna Wolves units being, you'll have the hammer and anvil of the 1,000 Suns assault unit that's going to get into something and not go anywhere, and then the Volkite support unit, the veterans, and Hastur Sejanus and his Land Raider with his command squad getting to follow up and be support assault. Meanwhile, the breacher squad is sitting on whatever you need it to sit on, being a pain in the ass and not going anywhere. So, I think it's a pretty cool list. I think it would play pretty differently to any... I don't know. I think it's basically just a 1,000 Suns list with with extra steps, but it also kind of works into my headcanon and works with kind of an army build that I already had in mind. So yeah,
I like it. I'll be
Yeah,
I'll
I
look around
like
the
it.
table,
It's
too.
very, very sticky.
yes, very very sticky. Like I wanted to make use of the Raptora rule because it's really fucking good without like doing the obvious thing that everybody always fucking does, which is the Sekhmet Terminators.
Yeah.
You
Taking
know,
a good rule and just making it unfun.
right. So like, yeah, this I mean, it's still an assault squad, so you know it's not like the biggest deal in the world, but it will also be very sticky, and it won't go anywhere. And then the breachers basically now become Iron Warriors if I sit them on an objective where they don't take morale checks or they automatically pass them anyway. So like you're gonna have to kill them to a man or engage them in melee, and nobody wants to fight breachers in melee. Especially not ones with 4-up invulns and feel no pains.
Yep.
No, it's good.
Dig it. That'll
I
be a
like
good
it.
one.
Also, it gives me an opportunity to paint Thousand Suns, which I definitely want to try at some point. Because it's just a snappy ass color scheme that's just great.
Dig that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's good.
So Ben,
like
you
it.
want to cycle back around to your second list that you were jazzed about?
Yeah, this one is actually one that I would probably really I'm really thinking about building it. Because I'm already doing some of it anyway. But I call this the stone codpiece. So I'm actually taking
Nice.
a
I'm
Shattered
already into
Legion
it.
of Iron Hands and Imperial Fists. And I'm taking the Stone Gauntlet Rite of War. So starting out, my warlord is going to be an Imperial Fist Praetor. And he is going to be tricked out for close combat. And I am going to sit his happy ass on a Scimitar jet bike with his Paragon blade and digital lasers and et cetera, et cetera.
I believe it's
Can
pronounced
you take
Shimera pattern jet bike.
I will fight
Can you
you,
take a
and I will
Solarite
win.
Gauntlet?
Huh?
Can you take a Solarite Gauntlet?
Maybe.
I
don't know.
Sorry. Side note. Go
Um,
ahead. I'm sorry.
And then I have a second HQ because if I'm going to take a Shattered Legion, I like having an HQ from each of the armies. I'm taking a Primus Medicae Iron Hands, also on a Chimera Jet Pike. Haha, I can own it and make it mine. But then my troops choices, because it is the Stone Gauntlet Rite of War, I have 2 squads of Imperial Fists Breacher squads, each squad with 2 Meltaguns, and I have put them in a triple Las Land Raider Proteus each. Then, so I've got 2 just identical squads there. Then I have 2 fast attacks. They're both mostly identical, but I have 2 sets of Iron Hands 9-man Sky Hunter squadrons. All with one. The only difference is that one unit has 2 multi-meltas and 1 plasma cannon. The other unit has 2 plasma cannons and 1 multi-melta. And I will stick the Praetor and the Primus Medicae in one of them, whichever one I choose to. I don't know. And then all of that backed up by a Imperial Fist Leviathan with Cyclonic Meltalance and a siege drill. The whole idea here is that, yeah, I've got very few units on the table, but good luck moving any of them. Because those jet bikes, aside from one of them is going to have a Primus Medicae in them, giving them feel no pain, they are effectively toughness 6. Because they're toughness 5 regardless, and since they have the inviolate armor special rule, all weapon strengths are reduced by 1 as well. So you've got a toughness 5 minus 1 strength to incoming ranged weaponry on a 2-up armor save fast mount with a heavy weapon of some sort, and 6 heavy bolters and multi-meltas and plasma cannons will mulch through most even elite like Terminator army or units are gonna they're gonna take some wounds to that no matter what. Not shabby in close combat, but really their goal is to zip around and just chip away while being staying out of range of anything charging it, but being able to weather most of the incoming firepower that comes back to it. Meanwhile, those breacher squads are going to be nice and safe in Land Raider Proteuses. The las cannons are going to be my long range heavy support. But when and inevitably those breachers have to come out, thanks to the Stone Gauntlet Rite of War, they're going to sit there, and not only are they regular breachers, but now they're toughness 5 breachers. So they're going to have their shields, they're going to get their invulnerables, and they're going to be toughness 5. So and
So
that's
hold on. Do you have any Iron Hands breachers squads?
no.
Because you can make them tough 6.
Like actually toughness 6.
How do you make them toughness 6?
Because if they have the inviolate armor, and then if they're in base to base, they get +1 toughness.
From Stone Gauntlet, yeah.
Yeah, and Stone Gauntlet.
Because the Rite of War would apply to all things in the army, basically.
Oh well, maybe I just didn't understand how the Rite of War stuff applied to everybody. Because let's see, does it say? Yeah, I guess I could do that, but I've also already got the Imperial Fist breachers.
I mean, that's fair. That's just where my mind immediately went to when you said Imperial
Sure.
Fist, Iron Hand, Stone Gauntlet.
Yeah, sure. I would. That would be another way to do it, and that's probably a more effective way of doing it. But this is, like I said, I wanted to think of something that I've already got the models for, or at least most of the models. And while I like the look of Iron Hands breacher squads, I like the look of Imperial Fist ones even better.
Yeah, and it's also not a very nice list either if you do that.
Well, also yes. So this is a.
I don't know that it's that nice as is. It sounds pretty fucking gross to me.
It's definitely. I know that I could make nastier things, but like this is going to be really hard for most all comers armies to like really dismantle. Like,
yeah, like
every unit is going to take like heavy concentrated firepower to actually remove. Like there's no, with the exception of the vehicles, and even those you've got to get real lucky on to take out with a single volley.
Yeah, because the Iron Hands ones you can put Blessed Auto Simulacra on, right?
Yeah, but I'm not taking any Iron Hands vehicles.
Oh, okay, they're all okay.
Which I guess I could if I wanted to swap the. I could just change the Leviathan to Iron's Hands instead, and do some changing around to give him Blessed Auto Simulacra. That'd probably be
so
better.
Fucking dumb. You better kill this Leviathan in one round of shooting.
Yeah, you had best to do that.
I wonder how your list would face against my list, both being very sticky, hard to move.
I think that we just eventually go home. Like I think it's just like we've been playing for 6 hours and we've caused a grand total of 6 casualties. I kind of just want to leave.
Can't Imperial Fist choose to make the game go an extra turn?
Yes,
they sure can.
They can if there's an optional last turn, they can force it. So
that's how you win. You just
Alpha
make
strike this bitch.
6 hours, make the other guy just quit.
So, but that was another reason why one of the reasons I wanted to choose Imperial Fist is and use this army specifically is like normally you can't load them out on jet bikes, like not, or at least not in mass. So I wanted to kind of focus on making them a fast element of an army instead of like the slow, just almost gun line tactics that I see a lot of Imperial Fist players or Iron Hands players use, which it's fine. It's
Sorry, I'm allergic to heavy bolter quad mortars.
Yeah, you're yeah, those things are kind of gnarly. But yeah, I really like this, and like for me especially, considering I already have some of the the big expensive parts to it, like it wouldn't take a whole lot of effort to actually build this up to 2,500 points. Like I need to make the scimitars, but for me that's relatively easy.
Yeah. Well,
But yeah,
relatively low model count army too, all things considered.
let's see. Let's see. 18 bikes, 20 breachers, a Leviathan, 2 HQs, and 2 Land Raiders. So
Yeah.
for 2,500 points, that's a relatively small army if you're not including some sort of Lord of War, which none of us did.
None of us do usually at that point level.
No, 2,500 points is usually where I will have an option for one. Like I feel like that's a good points value to include, because like even though I don't have a Lord of War in here, like this army would be able to deal with most Lords of War relatively easily in by the fact that all of those models, every single model that's not a vehicle, has melta-bombs. All of the 2 Land Raiders have 3 twin las cannons each, and the Leviathan has a siege drill. So I'm getting re-rolls on armor or I'm getting armor bane on damn near everything.
Yeah.
So if one of those squads of jet bikes, which are moving 18 inches, so they can close the gap with a super heavy very fast, gets a charge off, like I'm getting, even if some die before they get there, 5 or 6 melta bombs, most of them will hit, most of them will do damage, and at least a couple of them probably will get extra explodes damage. So that'll put a hurting on most super heavies pretty quick.
Eric, how do you think this list would stack up against the other jet bike list that we've made?
Fairly well, honestly.
Yeah,
I think what this would suffer against ours is just lack of unit numbers, but I think they can be whittled down enough that that's not an issue.
Yeah.
Now, but you have to remember that it's not just the list; it is my fantastic dice rolling that's going to get y'all.
I mean, yes, it's true.
Or more importantly, Jake's bad dice rolling.
Yeah, I mean that's gonna be more of a factor than anything else.
That's fair.
Consistent and disappointing dice rolling on my part.
Yeah, but no, I really like this concept, and now that I've been reading more to kind of bring us back around. Now that I've been reading more about the Shattered Legions and what it it can bring to an army list, like I really I'm actually surprised more people don't delve into it more than they do.
So one of the weird things about Shattered Allegiance, and actually Arms of Dark Compliance too, it specifies them in both, is it's one of those things that your opponent has to agree upon, which, I mean, unless you come across some fucking grognard that you probably don't want to be playing with anyway, nobody's going to have, like, an issue with it. But I can see that as being a thing like, oh, maybe this event won't allow Shattered Legions because, it says this and stuff like that. Like I can see that being a deterrent.
Honestly, I think the deterrent is more of the person bringing the Shattered Legions list being the grognard and like fucking trying to break the game as we have done.
When you see some of the gnarly things that we just talked about, even if they're not in the list, like those tough 6 breachers, it's a lot like Demons of the Ruined Storm or Cybernetica, where you can. It might not be as easy here, but yeah, you can be pretty strong with it. And I think most people, number one, just want to focus on their legion that they like, and also that the rules are a little bit dense for it as far as what actually interacts with what and how things actually go.
Well, yeah, and just being able to remember, like sometimes we forget like individual like chapter tactics and whatnot for single or units. Now we're having multiple legion traits that we've got to keep track of, and it can be a lot of note taking for a single army.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But with
Definitely.
that comes a lot of flexibility and some unique and some powerful combos that are some of them may be a little more on the cheesy side, but some of them are just really solid, good mechanical army lists that would be fantastic on the table and look really good too. It
Well, I
just may
think the
take a little bit
modeling
more
thing is
effort to
another
do
part of
it.
it too.
Yeah.
I
So
think the modeling thing is another part of why you don't see it too, because especially amongst newer players, like those of us who've been playing for a long time and have caught the sickness and have 8 fucking armies, that's different for us. It's nothing for us to go, oh, let me make a Shattered Legion out of what I got. But somebody who's just getting started, they may balk a little bit at having to,
well,
crank out 2 to 3 completely
Yeah.
different paint schemes.
Well, kind of
For a
playing
beginning
devil's
player.
advocate, I think it also works for people that are getting in new that maybe have not decided. I definitely want to play Ultramarines, but I really like some of those Iron Hands units, man. Those just look
Sure.
really cool. Like the ooh shiny,
Yeah,
situation that,
PNC,
that
they were
all of
shiny,
us have
sure.
fallen prey to. Like this would not hinder your ability to progress and play at certain higher points values. Like you could collect things that you just like the look of, and then
Mhm.
you can make an army out of it. Now we set out tonight to put together some combinations that we knew would be really effective, but
Speak for
that doesn't
yourself.
mean that so we optimized some things, but or optimized everything, but um that doesn't mean that as a new player you have to play on that same level. Like you can just put together some things and make a Shattered Legion, like with the collection that you just want to build. Like it doesn't
Yeah.
have to be optimized. You can just,
That's fair.
it's okay to say, I really like the look of this unit, but I don't want to make a whole army out of them. But I also don't want them to just sit and gather dust on a shelf either.
Yeah. I would honestly not be surprised if we, similar to the after Istvan Rite of War, I wouldn't be surprised if in some future release or Warzone book or whatever the fuck it is they're supposed to be doing now, we see some kind of Shattered Legion Siege of Terra army with Blood Angels, White Scars, and Imperial Fists. Like, I think
really
that'd
cool.
be really fucking cool. Or, I mean, shit, just build that army, period. Like,
Yeah.
because, I mean, we kind of all did just 1 and 1, but I don't think that you're limited to just 2 Shattered Legion.
Yeah, I mean,
No,
you can go
it
up
has
to
to
as
have at
many
least.
as you have HQ slots for.
Yeah, so you could do
You can do
3.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Actually,
Which,
did
I don't know
it
what
say
kind of
you
gamey
have?
bullshit you could do with.
Did it say you have to have an HQ for each?
Yeah, you have
Legion?
to have a Praetor, Centurion, or Character if you want to take any units from
No.
the
I
other
thought
region.
I thought it said Legion specific units.
Let me see here.
So, like, you could take if I did not take an Imperial.
It just says
Fist,
choices from a specific legion. So I honestly I would read that as if I want to take a White Scars tactical squad, I need to
Okay.
have a White Scars Centurion. But I could
Yeah.
see where you might interpret that as if I want to take Golden Keshig, I
Yeah,
need to
that's.
have a White Scars Centurion.
I think that would be nice to get a little bit of clarification on, but like honestly, I would probably still just err on the side of caution and have the HQs anyway. But there are
Yeah.
cheap HQs you can take, so
You can
Yeah,
just take a
Centurion's 50
Centurion.
points.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like
base Centurion
don't have to be
or
expensive.
no. I think what's the cheapest console you can take? It's like 10 or 15
More
points.
Duplicator.
Delegatus, I
More
think.
Duplicators, which means.
Yeah.
I think
I
there's
think
a
it's
cheaper one than the Delegatus.
Mortificate. I think Mortificator might be cheaper than Delegatus.
No, I don't think. I think Mortificator's like 35 points. I think Delegatus and like early Crusade honors are like 15.
Yeah, I think you're.
Now I'm looking up.
I don't know why I'm like asking the questions when I literally have the damn. So you can just be a Centurion at no cost. Delegatus is 15. Esoterist is 15.
You
So
get
those
to
are the two
perils
cheapest.
immediately and blow yourself up if you take an Esoterrorist.
Yeah. I made that mistake once. Or no, mine was a Nullificator, but I mean it's basically the same thing.
Nullificator, that's right.
But it's basically the same thing. Like,
Yeah.
I made that
Still,
mistake
those are
one
like
time.
you've got cheap options that you can throw in there, or just take 17 Primus Medicaes and throw them across all of your units.
Yeah.
Yeah, my first thought was trying to figure Cross of Bone into maximizing the number of golden Keshig I could take, and because but then I realized it doesn't actually give you any additional HQ slots. What does give you additional HQ slots, if you want to take 5 different legions, is Swift Blade, because they're all your warlord, and you get up to minimum of 3, maximum of 5.
You want to take 5 fucking bike legions in a single list, dude. Fucking biker gang to the fucking max.
Out here making the armies of Rohan.
Like you would have like they would not be the Rohirrim. They would definitely be the Sons of Anarchy at that point.
Yeah. Fucking Hell's Angels.
Oh my god, that would be a good looking army. That'd be cool to see on a table.
Yeah.
Sons of Horus, Night Lord, Swift Blade, just fucking biker gang to the max.
Yeah, man. Dude, Sons of Horus bikes do not fuck around.
I tend to think that every legion could make a really effective bike army, but unfortunately bikes, doesn't matter what style you take, are the most expensive fucking models that you can get from Forge World.
That's true.
Like on a by ounce basis.
I think the Eric and I keep like skirting around this, and it's because we haven't decided if we actually want to release this evil on the world. But we've built a jet bike list that, even talking to Ben to print it for me, which is the cheapest option I have available to me, I think would still be in the neighborhood of like $300 to $400.
Which I accept your terms.
Which, like, I mean, fuck, dude.
Yeah, a single scimitar jet bike from Forge World is $47 for one bike.
Which, like, yeah, you want to talk about stuff that like Games Workshop deserves to get ass blasted over. Fucking explain that to me, Jesus Christ. But anyway,
it's almost as mystifying as why Kansas is Kansas and Arkansas is not Arkansas.
It's true.
We really like to hit the tough topics here on Argel Talk.
Well, for that matter, why is it not Kansas?
Yeah.
Oh, I don't like that more. I don't like that.
Thanks, I hate it. If you'd like to discuss the names of states or how the English language doesn't make any fucking sense, feel free to send us an email at argeltalkpodcast@gmail.com. That's ARGELTALK@gmail.com. Let us know if you've got any cool Shattered Legions ideas or armies that you have. We'd love to see them for sure, or that you've seen out in the wild somewhere. If you have any comments or things that you think could be improved in the list that we talked about, just let us know. We'd love to hear from you. If you have any suggestions for future topics or things that you'd like to hear us talk about, you can present that too. Or if you just want to generally tell us to go fuck ourselves, that's fine as well. I mean, you're entitled to your opinion. Everybody's allowed to be wrong.
The Jake hate mail is always open.
Yes, we got the the Jake hate mail is I got thick skin. I can take it. Fucking bring it.
Thick scrotum too.
Fucking at me.
That's where his thick skin of that is on the scrot.
He's so thick. Oh.
Damn, boy, he thick.
That scrot is thick with 3 C's.
God damn it. God. Anyway, so with that, before I think, I mean, do we have any last thoughts on anything? Shattered Legions, whatever.
Shattered Legions are fantastic, and you should start using them.
Yeah.
Everyone should. Like, I think that it, it gives a lot of opportunities for modeling, making new narrative, and just making games a little bit more unique than single Legion lists tend to be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fuck around and find out, my dudes. Make it your own hobby and your own army.
Yep.
But with that, I think we'll go ahead and wrap it up here. Let us know if there's anything you want to talk about. And
bye. We love you.
Catch you, Dingai, next time.